Welcome everyone to another flying adventure from the old Texas pilot. This is actually my first solo flight that I've made after 20 years of not flying. I was instructed here in San Marcos, and I'm just about to lift off this J-5 Cub Cruiser for my first solo flight. Once I have given it full power and the plane starts to roll, it'll lift off here in a second and there will be no turning back. Once I clear the ground, I'll have to bring it back down at some point during the flight. So the plane is taking off and I'm lined up on the runway trying to make sure that I'm doing everything right on my first flight by myself, my solo flight. So I'm climbing at about 60 miles an hour. My goal is to climb to an altitude 1,000 feet above the runway. That's pattern altitude. All right, I've taken off and now I'm coming back around for my very first landing. I'm going to make 2 landings here in San Marcos before I fly this plane to its home airport in Gonzales, Texas, T20. It's about 30 something miles away. So right now I'm making my first landing. I had the plane set up. Airspeed's at 60. You can actually see the shadow off to the side here, to the right side, as I'm coming in for a landing. So a little anxious at this moment, making sure that I put this plane down correctly. But right now it all looks pretty good as I close in on the runway. I pull all the power off, float down the runway, and settle in. Okay, my very first solo landing. I'm giving it full power. I'll make one more landing. I'll take off again and make one more landing here in San Marcos before I take this plane and head over to Gonzales, Texas. But I wanted to make sure that I felt comfortable. This runway is 100 feet wide and the runway in Gonzales is only 50 foot wide. All right, here I am flying toward Gonzales. This is just some of the scenery along the way. You can see the river, the Guadalupe River below us there. Up ahead of me to the left, you can see the see Gonzales coming up. All right, now it's a little closer. I'll be flying over the midpoint of the runway. All right, the runway is right off the nose of the plane. It's a little black line going from left to right. It's hard to distinguish, but it's right over the edge of my plane. Now I've kind of passed it with the nose, splitting it in two. Now I'm coming around to land, and what I found was that this is a narrow runway and it was optical illusion, and I didn't go far enough out, so my airspeed should be at 60, but it's about 70. I'm trying to somewhat kind of slow the plane down the best I can. The runway's long. I'm not worried about running off the end of the runway. I'm just trying to get it as slow as I could. 60 is optimum, but I'm not going to make 60. It's going to be a lot faster by the time I reach the threshold of the runway. As you can see, it's moving. The plane is floating down the runway, dispersing all the energy. I'm still floating above the runway. And now the plane touches down. 50 foot wide versus 100 foot wide. Now I'm easing the plane back more to the center line. So now I move the plane to its permanent home in, hopefully for a while, in Gonzales, T20. From there, I'll do my flying adventures. Thanks for watching.